Good.
because that's how I am. I mean, I get people to tell me all the time the way I dress is like, wow, I can't believe you make it work so well. And it's like, well, it's what I feel inside. And I want that, like you said it perfectly, I want that inside to match what I look on the outside.
Yeah.
Did you, now, how did you meet Steven is the next, and I think, the last thing I would like to kind of look into is he's very much passionate. It's obvious about the genre that he distributes and he produces, and also he writes, like with American Guinea Pig Boutique and stuff like that. Are you a fan of that genre? And if so, is that what led you to kind of approach him with this, or did he approach you? And how did that all come together?
So it all started at Nightmares Film Festival.
Okay.
And the director, Jason Tosteven, of the Nightmares Film Festival, said that Steven would be a good person and should see this film.
Okay.
And didn't say that necessarily, hey, but they said, hey, he's got a label. Definitely, you should see it. And I will send him an email to say, hey, you should check this movie out. And then another person that interviewed me at Nightmares Film Festival, Rebecca Reinhardt, she interviewed me for a podcast, and I think it was actually a podcast. I know it was on video, so it might have just been for a video interview. But she interviewed me there, and she said, asked me if anybody had approached me about distribution, and said that it certainly would be a good fit for Unearthed Films. And she said, I'll send Steven an email as well. So between the two of them already like saying, hey, and I was like, I didn't know really about Unearthed so much.
Okay.
And then I immediately started looking into them, and I was like, oh, I know some of these films, and I've seen some of these. And there was, I would say, probably like 95% I didn't know. And and I said, wow, this is interesting. So I really looked into it, and I contacted him, and he said, yeah, I've got some emails about your stuff. And I sent him the thing, and he's like, wow, okay. He said, give me a couple weeks to think about this. And then I was just stunned, and he said, I want to offer you a contract. And I was
awesome.
Like, what? I can't believe this. So it's like amazing. So it almost felt like everything just fell perfectly into place for this and for me. And unfortunately, I've never had the pleasure to meet Steven in person.
Right.
But we've had plenty of conversations over the phone and through email and stuff like that. So that's how it really came about. In regards to movies that are extreme, I don't have a problem with some of them.
Yeah.
And maybe it's the more mainstream ones. But I think that I feel like there needs to be, for me, some type of reason and story behind it in order for it to really pull me in.
I completely agree with you.
So if there is a reason and a story behind it, then I'm there. But otherwise, it's almost, it could be on in the background visually, and am I getting something artistically from it? Maybe, I don't know. So there might be something there. I like if it's fake. I don't like it. If it's fake, I like for it to feel real. That's important. But I don't. The allure of something being like a true snuff, which isn't really what they're carrying or anything like that, isn't there. So for me, I don't really have that in me. But the brutality, if there's an art to it, and if there's a message behind it, and if there's a story to it, then I can certainly appreciate it.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of where I stand. I mean, I I've been following Unearthed ever since they got the rights to distribute Rubber's Lover, and and I'm a big champion of that industry, that genre of film, but I'm a lot like you are, in the sense of like I don't, if it's senseless and pointless, I have no time for it. Okay, all the respect to you. You took the time to make this, it's just like, I'm not a big romance film person at all. And the same thing goes into it. I respect it, and I'm not going to talk badly about it. But being a huge fan of Cronenberg, I think he's shaped a lot of the way I take in film. And it's kind of an interesting path to kind of take in time, because it's almost like you're allowing somebody to kind of direct your perspective on how film is supposed to be done. But Cronenberg paid so much attention to story, and he had that visceral kind of approach to everything he did, but it was, in a sense, it was in the background, even though it was also present in the foreground. And I think that's the same with like Taka Shimiki's Audition. It's a film that is so story driven that by the end of the film, I was just like, I don't typically say wow, but it was just like, I was done, and the only thing I could say was wow, like it was an experience instead of just watching a movie.
Indeed.
Yeah, I hope.
For me, like the Faces of Death didn't really do it for me. But I had heard so much about it that I wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And then I was like, I don't ever need to watch this ever again.
Yeah.
It's really not of interest to me. But something like Last House on the Left, or Martyrs, or I mean, I even saw merit in Serbian film. I thought it was a pretty decent film, actually.
I did too.
And Irreversible.
Yeah.
Those are all, I think, they're extreme in their nature. And like Begotten was was one that I saw when it first came out.
Oh, that movie's fantastic.
And I've seen it so many times, and it's like, I just love the sound, I love the visuals, and it's just pure art.
Indeed.
But, some people might be like, oh my God, nothing happens and it's so boring, but I just thought it was great. So
I did too. I agree with you. I think that when my like literally hands down, like, I thought I'd never say this, but Martyrs is by far, like, not that I would never say it about Martyrs, but I would never say, like, this is the top film that I would put in, like, if I was looking for something to watch. There's just everything Martyrs has for me in that movie. And, I mean, also I identify primarily with the main character, Lucy, a lot, with what she struggled through. So I think identification is another big part of it for me. So are you, like, you spoke you didn't speak briefly on anything, but you've hinted towards, like, your next project.
Yes.
Can I ask about it?
Yes, I'm not going to say what.
I won't even put anything in it. I'm just interested personally.
No, I don't care if you. I actually, if you put something about it in there, that's fine. Whatever I say, you can put in there about it. That's fine. So after. This is the project that I initially wanted to make first, but I didn't have the budget for it, and now I'm reworking it based upon because I didn't pull any punches, so to speak, with 29 Needles. I was going to make a little bit more accessible film with this one. Okay. But it was going to be a bigger budget because of effects and things like that.
Of course.
But now I'm reworking it. First of all, I reworked it to fit Brooke's transition. And then that changed after we lost Brooke. And so I'm just reworking it, the story-wise, to really match the same attitude of I'm going to shoot what I want, the way I want,
right.
and how it's received is how it's received. So I'm putting a lot of stuff in there the way that I would initially have wanted it, and go in that direction. And I don't know whether people will find it's like a step up or a step away from 29 Needles, but I would say that it would certainly appeal to, or people could see me in both pictures, I would hope. But in this one, it's more of a, there's only 8 people in the movie.
Oh.
There are no minor characters. Everybody has a pretty significant role, and that's another reason I'm like really wanting to push for people that can act, because not only is the acting going to be very important to make the lines deliverable, but there are extreme sexual situations in this too. So finding the right people to do it are important too. So
indeed,
yeah.
You want professionalism involved with this. It isn't like some stupid pornography thing that.
Exactly.
All it is sex, and there's no substance to it.
Right. Yeah. And really, I'm exploring in doing this, and I don't know. There's just an element that like sex is horrifying.
It is.
and even though it's like there's so much it's animalistic, and yet it's hidden from everybody.
Yeah.
And there's and the fetishes that are involved with so many people, and there's just but really, I mean, it's like a human component, it's an animal component, and it's outrageous and bizarre, and what people will do for certain things and to be certain things. So there's an element in there of this, and but really, I'm hoping that the story that I'm creating is clear and understood. But it's very much a set and controlled environment where it's unlike 29 Needles, where the city and the places are like almost another character.
Right.
This is another character too, but it's one specific location. It doesn't go outside of a house in the middle of nowhere.
That's awesome.
So yeah, it's this house and this space, and it's like a retreat for these people. These people are on a retreat, and I also in doing that, I'm trying to avoid some of the horror tropes, but it's going to happen because it's a set group of people by themselves in this house, in this like in nature, around nature. And what happens with their time there. So that's the details I have for it.
That's completely fine. I mean, I didn't want to dig too deep into it because I understand that, even when I'm painting or I'm doing a series that somebody's, commissioned me to do, I don't even let that person see the stuff until I'm actually done with it. So, and I'm an extremely patient creator, so a lot of times it takes me a very long time to get something accomplished, and I don't procrastinate. And that's something that I was, when I read, I was like, wow, this took 3 years to make. I think you said it took 2 years to shoot, but it seemed like it's 3 years to probably bring everything together.
Well, it was more than that. It was like about 2 years to shoot, but then about almost 10 years to fix in post-production.
Oh, my goodness gracious.
Yeah. So it was, I think we ended up finishing shooting in 2010.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and I was like, we were all working on our free time. Andrew was working. He makes a living at music and scoring films, so anytime a paid job came up, he'd have to put this in the back burner and then get momentum again. And he was doing a lot of work for the movie, so it took a while. ready, it will be ready. But I also, for some reason, maybe it's, for whatever reason, I just thought I want to wait to work on the next one until this one is done.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel done until it got to that stage, and so that's why I'm really working on and pushing forward on this one, and going strong with it. Now, I also don't know about in this new climate what it's going to be like filming-wise. Especially with these scenes where people have to be very much intimate in settings, what that's going to look like in the future. But I'm imagining by the time I get to the point where we're actually filming, that will be a non-issue.
Well, I hope that this whole thing is, everybody has their own opinion about this. I myself, I think it's, I think it's a little less than what it's been painted. I don't even, not because I'm part of the LGBTQ community, but there wasn't even this kind of an uproar when the AIDS epidemic happened. And I think that, and it's the same way. Anybody could have it and anybody can give it. And I think that I really just think that people need to understand that, and also we need to remind ourselves that there still isn't there is a cure now, I guess, but there wasn't for it seemed like a billion years. So, and I'm exaggerating, of course, on that, but I just think that this needs to just kind of go back to normality.
I don't think it will. I don't know if it will, and that's just my opinion. But I think that people are comparing this to, like 9/11, in regards to the fact that we didn't go back to the way that things were after 9/11. Now there's security checks at airports the way that they weren't ever before, and people are adjusting things and doing that for that. So I think it'll be different, but we'll eventually get to a point where we're able to do a lot of the things.
I sure hope
just
so.
New ways, So
because movies are, I don't think I can keep watching the same garbage. I'm so happy that this film is coming out because it's like I'm at my wit's end,
Well, so we'll just see when that actually happens. Hopefully it's going to be happening sooner than later. But their print house is basically not essential right now, so they're kind of having to put things on the back burner. But it will be allowed to open before too long. And
is that why this has taken a while to be released? Is due to that?
A little bit. It's partially because of that. Partially because the person creating the new the new cover art is it's still in the works. But that would be fast-tracked a little bit more if there was actual printing in line. So that's they're waiting. He's waiting on that. I feel like it's soon. So
I can't wait. Looking forward to it very much. So.
Yeah. Thank you.
And when you make your next movie, I have no connection to this person, but Michael Eklund, I think is one, he's gorgeous, and two, I think he's a fantastic actor. And I don't know if you're familiar with Michael Eklund. Have you seen The Divide?
Let me see here.
Or Heirs of the Human Body?
No, I have not.
Those are two of his films that he's done that I think are, well, The Divide was definitely a challenge for all the people involved with that film, but it's
no, I saw The Divide. That was a while ago, though.
Yeah, it's been out for a while now. Oh my goodness, if you got him, I would be like, you are so amazing.
I would probably get local Baltimore actors, most likely, and work with that because I have a lot of people that I know.
Sure.
But I certainly am not opposed to anybody, and I guess I also have to work in the budget constraints of what I have. But I guess we'll see.
Well, it seems like now the politics. It seems like his actors do a big film, then they do some weird indie film, and then they do a friend film, and then they go back. And I I mean, personally, I could care less. I just want to see a good movie. That's all that matters to me.
Well, I mean, that's what it happens. So, people oftentimes put their faith in a small project and allow that to happen. So.
Well, he's done a lot of indie stuff, and I'd love to see him nude. So that's definitely not going in the interview.
There's a selfish side to that. Yes. Yeah.
Well, I'm sure you have plans for today, and not to spend all of your time talking to me, which I would not have any issues with. But I'll let you go. Is there anything else that you would like to add that you want to just kind of speak out about that you didn't really have a chance to in the other interviews that you've done?
No, I think that we touched on some new stuff, which was good, and I think that a lot of stuff was covered. I appreciate you giving me the time.
Oh, absolutely. You are so very welcome. I'm honored that you took the time to talk to me. It's something that I have a passion for, and that was the big thing with Stephen is he was really taken back by the fact that I said, you read this before anybody else does. And he's like, wow. And it's like, well, I want to help you. I don't want to, cause any confliction. I don't want to be a jerk to people. I want to be, someone that they want to go to say, hey, I remember you, and, I would like to do an interview with you if you're up for it. So I'd like you to approach me sometime instead of me just approaching you. So, and get something fancy from the film. No, I'm just joking there. But.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
And I guess I will give you my email. I'll message it to you. That way you have it if you need to send it to me or any other way.
Absolutely.
But I'll send it to you now.
And please, anytime. I'm open to conversation. I don't have much of this, to be honest with you. I spend a lot of time. I'm a big introvert. My roommate tries to get me out, and nowadays, like you said, it's like the times are changing, of course.